of Rage.
Big shout out to the drummer of Lich King, Brian Westbrook, for opening up the Agents of Rage this week. What's up, party people? Welcome to episode 18 of the one and only Agents of Rage Heavy Metal Podcast. I am El Ren, and this is TD. What's up, brother man?
Well, Ren, that's a good score. Lich King. I mean, is that our most famous band that's given us a shout out so far? That's pretty cool. Good job, man.
Yeah. Nice. Thank you. I'm going to keep just plugging it. I've got no shame when it comes to Skull Guy. Help us out. And so thankfully they were all hanging out after the show, so it was cool.
Yeah.
And, he's super cool. So, I mean, all the guys from Lich King, really down to earth. So, all right, people, we are going old school on you this week in terms of the bands represented on the program. But after 40 years or so, these bands are still killing it. We are focusing on the Clash of the Titans, and I'm talking about Testament and Kreator. We have got concert clips from the September 2024 show at Royal Oak, Michigan, which is just outside of Detroit here, and it's a really cool place to see a show. And we're also giving you a taste of both TD's and I's favorite album from both bands. Possessed is also making its way into the show, so that is all coming up. Now, the first thing I want us to do, and hopefully we can do this on a more regular basis, is react to some tour news. So we mentioned it in our last program, didn't really give any details on it, but Kerry King is launching a 2025 North American tour. The 28-date tour kicks off January 15th in San Francisco.
And we'll be there, me and Woody.
Yeah, I know.
We got our tickets.
Exactly. And it's, February 22nd in Los Angeles. They're hitting Toronto, New York City, Dallas, Las Vegas along the way. Municipal Waste and Alien Weaponry are going to provide the opening act. You, as you just mentioned, will be seeing the first show on Wednesday, January 15th at the Regency Ballroom. And I will be catching the show on Thursday, January 30th at the Majestic Theater in Detroit. I'm curious, so what's the Regency Ballroom like?
Okay. It's right next door to the O'Farrell Theater. And if you don't know who the O'Farrell brothers were, I think one's dead and one's alive, but they were in porn or strip clubs or something, and okay. so it starts and then literally you walk up another 50 feet and you're right in the Tenderloin. And if you're not from San Francisco, the Tenderloin is where all the hookers and crackheads and all the sketchy people are. So it's quite entertaining as you approach the Regency, but it's a good sized venue. It's got an upstairs, which depends on how many tickets they sell, if it's open or not, but downstairs is this giant room. And a lot of access to get in and out. Same with the merch area, but it's a cool place. I'll take Bart there, our public transportation, and I just walk. Usually I meet Woody at there's a Burger King on Market Street, and he'll pick me up, and we'll cruise on up there. And Woody's the parking gods, bless him. He always finds a front row celebrity spot somewhere. I don't know how, but we have our secret parking spot we don't tell people about because we want to get it. And that's so right. It'll be fun. And then we actually got tickets for 3 Inches of Blood, which I think is on the 25th of January. So they're doing a tour as well. And so January's going to be good. We got nothing till then, but January's going to be a good concert month.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That sounds great. Some more metal news is that San Francisco Bay Area metal titans Machine Head have announced a massive North American tour alongside the Swedish metal icons In Flame, Italian alt metalers Lacuna Coil, and American metalcore maestros Unearth. This crushing 5-week jaunt begins in Oakland, California at the legendary Fox Theater. Then then head south up for a stop at Sick New World Festival, then east and back across Canada. So Saturday, April 5th in Oakland, another opening night of a show should you choose to check it out. I already got my tickets for the Friday, May 2nd show at the Fillmore Detroit. So what do you think about this lineup?
It's it reminds me of what we've talked about in the past. The festivals, how they have different genres of metal to bring in different fans or more fans, right? Because these are all kind of different, right? Lacuna Coil doesn't really go with Machine Head. Even though I love their music, it's different. So it's a pretty interesting lineup. I almost wore my Lacuna Coil shirt or hat, but it doesn't fit right anymore. I actually met Christina Scabia on the street in Berkeley years ago, walking around. She has this thing before the show to walk around and check out the stores and stuff. And I was standing out there, and I look, and I was like, "There's no one around with her." I'm like, "That can't be her. What are the odds?" And it was her. So I got a picture with her, but I like their music a lot. That's gonna be a good show. I'll have to talk to Woody and see if we're gonna add that to our list.
Yeah, I think you should. It's good. And like I said, I saw In Flames for the first time, earlier this year, and they knocked it out of the park. So,
Flamers.
Yeah, dude. Exactly. The Flamers. Me and the Flamers. It was awesome, dude. So, all right, let's get into what we came here to do. I think we should wet the palate a bit by getting into our album cuts before the concert clips. So this just gets you in the right metal frame of mind when we're talking about these two bands. Let's talk about Kreator first. And I'm going to ask a question about the big four at the end of the show, and I want everyone who's watching on Facebook and YouTube to comment on it when I do. And there is another big four out there that Kreator actually is considered a part of. The big four of Teutonic thrash metal, alongside Destruction, Sodom, and Tankard. So what is Teutonic thrash metal, you ask? I'm glad that you did. Teutonic thrash metal is a regional style of thrash metal that originated in Germany, German-speaking countries in the 1980s. It's named after the Germanic tribe and is characterized by a distinct German sound. Did you know that?
No, I've only heard them referred to as the big four of German thrash metal, but I didn't really get into the history like you did. That's pretty interesting. But what else is interesting is I feel like Destruction and Kreator have never really taken time off. I feel like Sodom has a lot and Tankard a lot.
Yes.
They don't seem to come to the U.S. very frequently, but Destruction and Kreator, I've seen them quite a few times. I actually got a drumstick from Kreator in Santa Cruz when I was with Woody one show. But I've seen them both quite a few times, but never Sodom or Tankard.
Yeah, well, there you go. So Kreator, I mean, we know this, has had a significant impact on the heavy metal scene by pioneering that German thrash metal sound, influencing the development of death metal and black metal. I don't think a lot of people kind of put those two and two together, but they have contributed heavily to the popularity of the extreme metal genres, particularly through their aggressive music and lyrical themes focused on social and political commentary. It's all through their lyrics if you really listen to their songs. Now, their sound with, the heavier and more brutal elements is seen as a precursor to the development of death metal and black metal genres, particularly in their later albums, or in their early albums. Formed in 1982, Kreator has released 15 studio albums.
Wow.
Which is insane. 2 EPs, 2 live albums, and 3 compilation albums. So they just have a barrage of a body of work. And trying to pick one favorite out of all of them is a massive task. So I decided to go with their second release from 1986, Pleasure to Kill. The sound of this album, people, is really unlike anything you probably will ever hear anybody do again. It's like the snare and the bass drum are one. It's just like thunder.
Yeah.
It's just like all I can equate it to. And it's an 80s sound that in the early days of thrash that we all just really came to know and love. I mean, consider elements of like Metallica's Master of Puppets, Slayer's Reign in Blood, Destruction's Eternal Devastation, even Dark Angel's Darkness Descends. That's the line that Pleasure to Kill walks, and it just kicks ass. I mean, you agree?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think, personally, I think as time has gone on, their music's got better and better.
Yeah.
They've become much better musicians. The production's great. I mean, their last few albums are just spot on. They're awesome.
Yeah. No, absolutely. They sound just as great today as they did back then. And I think it's the nostalgia and the rawness that I love, because you just don't hear music made like this anymore. And that's one of the reasons why I chose it. But let's give you a sampling of the metal mayhem that is Pleasure to Kill.
Good stuff. I forgot how much I liked that album, and I had at one point I had I don't know how many thousands of songs on my phone, and so I've, like, when you asked me earlier the Testament song to pick, I knew off the top of my head because I've listened to those albums so many times, but for whatever reason it got deleted off my phone and I never put them back because there's a lot. It takes a long time to do that.
Yeah.
But I remember that song. I was in, I don't know, 10th grade when that album came out. We both were in 10th grade when that album came out. And, but I appreciate that, but I also do like their newer music because it's a little catchier sounding.
Totally.
But I forgot how good that sounded, actually.
Yeah.
In my mind, I was like, then I was like, it does have a better sound than I remember.
I know, it's wild. And it's, I mean, the last 30 years, they've really had kind of more of what the Kreator is that we know and love, over the last few decades. This was like kind of an anomaly, this 80s just madness, that they were bringing. But it was just so influential. It was so influential. And when I listen to it, like I'm in the car, I just crank it, because it's like, man, there's just nothing out there anymore that is raw. Like, people just wouldn't do this on purpose, No. But it's so cool, and it just kind of, as we're going to get into what we're getting into now, your choice, it just shows kind of their evolution and what they've been able to do, which is, always constantly kind of find new ways to create great songs. And you went with another album I love is 2012's Phantom Antichrist. I love this album. This is the sound that Kreator really has carried again over the past 30 years. I love that TD went to one of the anthems that they are famous for. Like, they love doing some of those anthems on their albums, and I love that. So let's get into a couple cuts from Phantom Antichrist.
I totally forgot this album was almost 13 years old. That's crazy. But as you can tell, the sound is just, it's not as crisp, cleaner as I thought compared to Pleasure to Kill. Now that I've listened to them side by side, I have to correct myself. But they've always had really cool album artwork. And even going back to Pleasure to Kill to Phantom Antichrist, they got some pretty cool artwork. But those guys are great. If I had to put the big four of German thrash metal in order, I would do Kreator, Destruction, Sodom, and Tanker in that order.
Yeah, that's a good order. I think a lot of people would agree with you with that. And you kind of addressed this before we played that, but I will say this: Kreator's latest album, which is Hate Uber Alles from 2022, is great. I have no problem saying that, and I would put it in their top 5 of all time. It is amazing. I recently went to see them, and you're going to get a set here that includes a few songs from that album, and they sound, of course, still as good as ever. Just kill it. So let's get into it. This is from September 29th, 2024 at the Royal Oak Music Theater in Royal Oak, Michigan. I give you Kreator.
almost went, yay! Like I was there. Felt like I was there. They have a great stage show, and they sound great, man. You got some good footage there too. Yeah, that's cool. We I don't know if I told you, but we Woody and Hegedus, we sold our tickets. We ended up not going to the show. We just couldn't. At the end of the day, we couldn't make it work. But at least you went and got some visual evidence.
Yeah, for sure. No, man, it happens. I hear you. You know, one of the things that I love actually about both Kreator and Testament, for that matter, is that a lot of times they have intros on their albums. You know how they do like an introductory like song or whatever it is. It's like an instrumental, just kind of builds, you know, again, when we talk about listening to albums, you know, get that experience right off the bat. And at this show, they did at least 3 of their intros from various albums between songs. And so I thought that was so cool.
Well, you know what? Speaking of that, I since my music got deleted from my phone, I've been listening to Spotify, and it's weird because the other day there was a Testament intro on there. So it goes from, you know, band to band, you know, all the different metal bands, and then Testament comes on, and it's the intro, and then it goes to another song of someone else. It doesn't make any sense.
Right. That's hilarious.
Like,
it just randomly picked something. Yeah. It just gave you a lead in for another song. So yeah, that's pretty crazy. They did 14 songs across 11 albums.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah, man. So they did 3 from the new one, which I put in there, which are all great songs. And then the rest were all just like one song from all these albums.
Good thinking. You know? That's good.
Yeah, it was cool. Now, if you follow Agents of Rage on Instagram, I sent vertical reels to TD of other performances from Kreator, and he posted them. So if you want to see a little bit of Enemy of God, Satan is Real, Violent Revolution, go to the Agents of Rage IG. And I don't know, how are we doing on the IG, by the way?
Well, IG, I think we're almost at 180, and then on Facebook, almost 1,700 on Facebook.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're getting some traction going slowly but surely. Facebook, I don't know what happened, but people were constantly sending us friend requests, and I don't know. We didn't pay for it, you know, because we didn't. And so anyway, it's just taken off. But yeah, I'm enjoying, you know, posting things on there. I got my little system down of how to make it faster by copying and pasting certain things, and just having a good time with it. And I think our friends and family and fans we have, I think, enjoy, you know, checking out what we're sharing.
That's cool. Yeah, you know, we need followers and subscribers, especially on YouTube. We have 15. We need more. So if you go there, please, if you like it at all, show us. You know, just comment, subscribe, follow, share. We need to grow. So that's what we need you guys to do.
Please.
All right. So now let's go to Testament, an undisputed titan of thrash metal, one of the definitive acts of the historic and high-octane genre since they first emerged from the San Francisco Bay Area in 1983. So these guys established themselves with a series of classic records released each year from 87 through 90. So if you were a fan of them back then, you got a new album from them every year, which was awesome. They never wavered creatively. Every time they release an album, it's got acclaim, and this is across 4 decades, which is awesome. They are considered a significant member of the so-called Big Six of Bay Area thrash metal, which is alongside Exodus, Death Angel, Laz Rocket, Forbidden, and Violence. So the band, very much like Kreator, again, these guys are you know, very alike in their, you know, history. 13 studio albums for Testament, one of which is a collection of re-recorded songs, 4 live albums, 5 compilation albums, 13 singles, and 3 DVDs. So these guys have a lot of content out there. If you love this music, and if you don't, you should, or maybe get yourself more exposed to it. Picking a favorite, really, I think, I probably speak for you, just kind of depends on the day. Like, what am I jamming right now that I think this is good? But we nailed it down to 1 each for this particular exercise. Both of these, more of the modern version of Testament, definitely within the last, 15 years. And they are, if you think about them, it's like like Kreator right now. They're just getting better and better.
Absolutely.
You know? Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable. And we could produce if we wanted to. Like, this is how like they've got so many iconic songs. Like, you know, if you go through all the albums, all of a sudden it's like there'll be at least 1 or 2 tracks that are like just banging beyond belief. If we created like a 20-song Agents of Rage, you know, playlist for Testament, I think it would rival any metal band in the business. And we could do it for Kreator too. But their concert, you know, felt like that. But, you know, Kreator's felt like a playlist, you know, from all their great stuff. But for Testament, it would melt your brain. It would be so good. We could come up with just like the best 20 songs. And I know it would be mind blowing. Maybe we should do that. What do you think? An Agents of Rage inspired playlist?
That's actually a pretty good idea. It wouldn't be that hard. Well, it would be hard to stop at 20 for some bands, like maybe.
Yeah.
Testament. But you're right. They've got just some amazing music, and I've said this before on the show. I feel bad when they are the supporting act because playing in the Bay Area, because they have home field advantage, and you can tell by the audience, the energy, that whoever's headline, you got to really bring it if you want to top Testament. I've seen it happen time and time again.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, and in this particular iteration, and I don't know if they traded up, but Kreator went first, and then it was Testament. So I don't know if like maybe they switch, you know, depending on the venue or whatever. I have no idea. But for this case, we'll go in chronological order. So we'll start with my album, which is 2008's The Formation of Damnation. So after The Gathering in 1999, they wouldn't release another new original album until this one. Now, speaking of The Gathering, I have a lot of love for The Gathering. In 1997, they did this death metal album called Demonic that I think both you and I agree didn't work, but that's all right. The Gathering is, I would argue this, and I'd have to see, it could be one of the first true blackened thrash albums, because there are definitely death metal elements mixed into The Gathering, especially when you listen to some of Chuck Billy's vocals. And a lot of that album is what you're hearing a lot of bands do now, which is, you know, mixing that kind of death and that kind of death melody into thrash. And so go revisit that if you want. But songs like DNR on that album is amazing, and Legions of the Dead. If you just want to pick 2, go listen to those 2 from The Gathering, and they will knock your socks off. Anyway, Chuck Billy got cancer during the early 2000s, so they had to break while he fought it, but it was worth the wait because this album, to me, just kicks ass. So here's a couple minutes from 2 of our favorites.
love those songs. They came back better than ever, I think, and they haven't stopped.
Yeah, they haven't. They haven't stopped to that. So that was just brutal. And let's move to 2016 now. And again, this was definitely one that I was like, I was like kind of like wait to see what you choose. And I'm like, because I could do anything. But Brotherhood of the Snake.
Yeah.
Another thing when this came out, just for me was just like, oh my God, this was their 11th studio album, just blistering. And at the time, they said it was some of the fastest stuff that they've ever played. So let's get into it right now.
No, man, I've been listening to that album a lot lately. For whatever reason, when I do my Spotify, the metal mix, that Brother of the Snake is always on there. And maybe it's because I keep playing it and they pick up on that. But
or other people are, and it's just popular. And so they're like, this is what the people want.
That's right. And so another band with great artwork from beginning to end. And Chuck Billy still sounds awesome live.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
doesn't miss a beat.
I know. And we're so blessed, man, that they're still kicking, all these years later here, here we are in our 50s and we can still go see Testament live, which you're going to see in just a second. So, we've seen them many times before. What was unique about Clash of the Titans tour was that they went back to the first two albums. So just Legacy and The New Order. They only played songs from those two albums. And I think it coincides with the fact that they just recently remastered both of them, so you can go back and listen to these albums. They're remastered now. They sound a lot better than they did back then. But I will tell you what, in my opinion, and this is controversial in the Testament community, but I don't care. First Strike Till Still Deadly from 2001 is the way those songs, from the first two albums, should sound on a record. So after the Gathering, before Chuck Billy went down for a while, they got together and they re-recorded several songs from the first two albums. So it's a smattering of both, and people hate on it, but I don't. It sounds great, and if you just crank it up, I am telling you. I'm not a big fan of bands replaying their music, redoing music later on, but it just sounds so much better.
Well, speaking of that, if you download music and listen to it on an iPhone, for example, if you listen to their first album versus their most recent album, the volume is different. Everything's different. It doesn't sound the same. You got to just the volume.
Yeah,
and it's that way.
The bass, everything.
It doesn't. So I think remastering is. I think it's good when if it really needs it and it's helpful. Right. But if you're just doing it to, I don't know,
Well, so they remastered the first 2 albums, which you can go get. So you get the original songs just remastered so that it sounds better, in this day and age than it did back then. It's so weird. Anthrax was like that too. A lot of their 80s albums, they're just like, it's like they had them turned down. I don't know. It was just weird the way that they recorded them. But First Strike, Still Deadly, they actually went in and re-recorded the songs.
Oh, wow.
So they just said, we're going to redo them. And I'm telling you, it's, I think, you guys be the judge. Tell us what you think. Put it in the comments. If you hate it, fine, I understand that. If you love it, which I do, and again, I'm not a fan of bands doing this, but man, I think it sounds great. And it sounds better than even the remastered ones. It just sounds better. Anyway, all right. So, and again, the New Order, absolutely one of my favorites. No doubt about it. They set the bar when they made that album. But and you're gonna hear some songs from the concert clips. So that's where we're going. But before we do, here's we played all of our Testament, right? We're done with that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We played Brother. Okay, I just want to make sure that we're good. Okay, so Testament came to town, only doing, again, songs from the first 2 albums. I have just a few clips here. I don't have a whole lot. It's not too long, but again, great as always. So this is from September 29th. Are you sure? Did we play Brotherhood of the Snake?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure. All right. So this is from September 29th at the Royal. Maybe it's me who's like fighting a fog or something.
I'm rubbing off on you.
I don't know what's going on. All right, let's just get into it, man. Here's some Testament.
Yeah, another band that puts on a great show.
No doubt, no doubt. And, just like I did with Kreator, TD posted some vertical reels of Testament that I sent him. So, Trial by Fire and Alone in the Dark, you can find on our Instagram of them doing stuff. So, check that out. And by the way, their latest album from 2020, Titans of Creation, it's a great album. It really is. Go check it out. Children of the Watch and everything is on that album. It's really, really good. With Testament especially, their first track on almost like all of their albums would be on that 20-song playlist because they always just kill it right off the bat. Like they're
big time.
Their first tracks, outside of the intros, of course. But all right, so let me ask my important question.
Okay.
All right, and I didn't tell TD this ahead of time, but I'm curious. This look back through the Kreator and the Testament catalog got me thinking. So the big four, of course, is Metallica, Slayer, Megadeth, and Anthrax. I get it. But if you had, so we're 45 years later removed from that era. And we've got 5 decades of music to evaluate and listen to, and process. But if you had to build, let's say that moniker never happened, let's say, and you were going to build the big four of thrash and heavy metal based on the decades of great music that these bands, those four, plus, let's say, Kreator and Testament, we'll just add those two for this conversation, but you can add another if you want. Would you knock anyone out of the big four and put, say, Testament or Kreator or somebody or both in?
I think you could kind of make an argument that Exodus could replace Anthrax, but I don't think the other three, I don't think so. I think that they have, one of the things I think about when it comes to music, and I'll use a hair metal band. So Motley Crue versus Rat, right? So back when they both took off, Rat I thought was the better band.
Yeah.
But the difference is Motley Crue, all the same guys were in the band forever. They did a much better job of selling themselves as a group and individually. And it's almost like sports, you follow your player. And so Rat had rotating guys you really didn't know anything about. And so that kind of applies to Metallica, Slayer. Megadeth's had some rotation, but Dave is just such a big guy, he can make up for the rest. And Anthrax has been fairly stable. So I think the stability and the consistency of putting out music is what really anchors them in there. Exodus had some, they had some, I think, lineup changes with the singers and things. So I think that would be what would prevent them from hitting 4. I think it's the consistent, you can count on the same guys, pretty much the same guys for the entire career of them.
Yeah, I don't know for a fact Kreator. I think Kreator's lineup for the most part has been pretty together. But I know Testament has had. I know Dave Lombardo was drummer a while.
Yeah.
They've had several drummers and different things. But so has Megadeth.
Right.
They've had a lot of guys. Yeah, I mean, the front men are the most important thing when it comes to consistency, and all of those bands have the right front man. Now, Anthrax obviously went a different direction with John Bush before they went back to, Joey
Belladonna.
Yeah, Belladonna. But the interesting thing is, if you listen, so here's what I would say. Don't hate on me. I love Megadeth. I do. I love them. Love the beginning. You love their start. I thought it was, but when you listen to like Megadeth, like Symphony of Destruction on, and a lot of their albums, they're just not my fare.
You talk about from Symphony of Destruction to up to today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All their albums. I mean, there's songs in between. There's songs I could pick out. I could put a good playlist together that includes newer stuff, but it just didn't metal out. Like Rust in Peace was like the, pinnacle of just great flipping metal. And I, as much as I like the first albums, and when the Kings of Thrash came around, it was really cool hearing those. And they're starting to play some of their original stuff too again, the early stuff. But Rust in Peace for me was my favorite, and just killed it. But after that, it just seemed like, as much as I've always loved them, it just seemed like when I listened to something like Testament's, like, again, we're playing 2008 and 2016 albums, and you could put Dark Roots of 2012 in there too for Testament. And it's like, oh my God, this is as good as it's ever been.
Yeah.
For what they've done. And Kreator, again, this new album is, I would put in the top 5 of their albums. So we look at where they started in the 80s with, Terrible Certainty and Extreme Aggression and obviously Pleasure to Kill, and that had a certain sound to it and everything. And that was, what it was. And then they went into, a different era and they just got better and better and better. So their later albums are the ones that really we're drawn to now.
Yeah.
So that's the point that I'm making.
Yeah, I see your point, and I'll kind of add on to that. Death Angel.
Yes.
They broke up and just went so long without any records.
Yeah.
That hurt them, making maybe the top 8.
Right.
Because even though they're musically they you could justify it, but the big gap in putting out albums, I think hurts. I think that's part of what people appreciate.
Yeah, and I will tell you, Exodus definitely has to be in that conversation. Even the stuff, without Zetro is great.
Great.
Killer.
No doubt.
Heavy, just unbelievable. And Persona Non Grata, their last album, is awesome. And they play it when they come out, and it's as good as any Exodus that they've ever done. And another band that in the 80s kind of, found their footing, doing some really cool stuff, but again, different than what they became like in the 90s and then obviously beyond. Yeah. So I don't know. It's an interesting conversation if we were starting it all. Obviously, Anthrax, where I love the John Bush era. I love that. I mean, they never dropped off for me, but what they've done the last, ever since, when we featured, whatever the 2012 album or whatever, that was.
Oh,
Church. Church album, whatever.
Yeah.
That was like they're back in all their glory. And what they've done since then, it has been really, really, really great. So it's an interesting conversation. But hey, that's what it is. So
going back to
I just wanted to say that. Go ahead.
I actually like him a little better with Anthrax than with Armored Saint.
Oh, 100%. I will say this. I was going to say this for another show, but I'll just say it now. He's in a new super group. They're called Category 7. Have you heard of them?
Oh, yeah.
Right. It's just not.
It's not happening. Yeah.
I don't think. There's a couple songs, you should listen to it. Give it your thing. I think Armored Saint. I think it's Sonic Temple. I think Armored Saint and Category 7 are playing on different days. But I'm much more in. Of course, Can You Deliver and that first Armored Saint, maybe the first 2 Armored Saint albums, just because of the nostalgia of it. I love.
Wearing their outfits.
Exactly, and it's just not that thrash, but it's cool. It was cool back then. Armored Saints since then just have never done it for me. And but that Anthrax, like I said, we talked about it. I'd love to see an Anthrax Bush, reunion, and just even if they just do a 7-city tour. I mean, they're doing Mr. Bungle and SOD. I think is coming and doing some stuff here and there. So why not? Have Joey can just sit back for a little bit and
work on a Journey tribute band.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go. All right. We are almost done, guys. I know it's a long show. We're about 55 minutes in, but hopefully you've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it. This has been fun.
Yeah.
We've got a little more to share because Possessed was also on the Clash of the Titans bill. Now, you saw a little bit of Swing of the Axe on our last show because we were, featuring TD's album, but I got a few more, and I want to say you're going to hear these songs are primarily talking about bands that have found a way to make their more current music great. This is most of the stuff you're going to see here is from it might be all of it, but it's from the 2019 album Revelations of Oblivion. I am telling you, it's some of their best music to date, and it sounds like Possessed, period. You listen to it, you go, that's Possessed. And it's not Eyes of Horror, it's not that, but it's really, really great. So let's just check out a little bit. Here is Possessed live from September 29th at the Royal Oak Music Theater. There you go.
Sorry, caught me midstream in my Iron Maiden glass. Trooper. That was great. It's that's the first time since Possessed has gone on a U.S. tour in I don't know when because I've seen them I think 3 times, but they're from the Bay Area, so they occasionally, and I mean only occasionally, play shows here. But I've been a fan of them since album 1. I was fortunate enough to happened to be living in the Bay Area at the time that album came out, Exodus had come out, Ride Lightning was, so I was at the beginning of it, and Possessed were awesome, and they still are. But like you said, they're musically they've gotten better, I think, over time.
Yeah, that's their newest stuff, and I think that there's a thing about becoming better and still staying true to who you are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They didn't change up. Now, we also posted a vertical of course, their classic, The Exorcist. So if you want to see a little of that, you can check it out on our Instagram. So, hey, man, that's our show, bro. We got a lot in today. Anything else that you want to add? Oh, what are you wearing there?
Oh, so I've got my Nile shirt. And interesting story. This is a pro tip, by the way. I got it when they played, I believe it was Overkill's at Slim's in San Francisco. And I had 2 shirts, and I was getting in the mosh pit that night. So I put both shirts in my belt, not my belt, but where your belt goes through the little loop.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it got stuck, and I pulled it out and ripped a hole in the back. And I was like, I don't care. I'm still wearing the damn shirt. But and this is being in mosh pit is similar to being in football. When the play's over, you got to have your head on a swivel because you might still get hit. So I'm bouncing around, and I wasn't paying attention. Some guy much smaller than me just nailed me in the ribs and tore some cartilage, so I couldn't sneeze or laugh for a couple of weeks. But It's a good story.
That is a good story. That is a good story. Of course, I've got my Kreator, my Clash of the Titans shirt. It's got the tour on the back and all of that. So
yeah, that's cool.
It's good stuff. It's a good logo. Speaking of Nile, I've never seen Nile, so I want to see them. And just so happens to be that on Saturday, January 25th, at the Machine Shop in Flint, is Nile with 6 Feet Under.
Oh,
yeah. So that is on my list to see. So already in 25, that, then Kerry King on January 30th. That'd be 5 days later. And then, of course, the Machine Head show is in May. It's already, and then, of course, a lot of other stuff will come, in the interim. But, yeah, I want to go see Nile and get my own Nile shirt and get my own ribs crushed. I can do that.
It's a funny story, but I wouldn't choose to do it again.
Yeah. I just love going to the Machine Shop, too. So it'll be awesome. All right, people. Follow us, like, subscribe, share the Agents of Rage on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Until next time, keep it metal. Go see a show, and that's how we support the scene. On that note, we'll see ya.